What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What Did Adam Say, Season 4, Episode 8, with my good friend Sal DiGuardia. I'm very, very, very excited to talk to him. I feel like the past 2 months I've been super quiet in the community because I've just been so freaking busy, and we haven't had a chance to chop it up, really. And Sal's one of my favorite people. He's a podcast host himself. He also has his own home studio. He's a home studio producer. I have some experience with that. I can't wait to swap some stories because that's always a trip. He's also probably the best clubhouse host that I know. Him and Nicole are probably like my two favorite clubhouse hosts for sure. And just an overall phenomenal human being. So I can't wait to get this podcast going. So make sure you guys share this and comment to join in the conversation. And let's freaking go.
Wait, what am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing. But I wake up every morning, never yawning. Cause I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need it, you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need it, you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. This shit is crazy, right? This shit is crazy.
This shit is crazy, right? It's been way too long since we've had a conversation, my friend.
Way too long, man.
How have
So
you been?
excited. Man, I've been really good. Bottom line is I've been really good. Some, life stuff that happens, but overall, man, I literally cannot complain. And even if I did, who would listen?
Yeah, it's like not worth it to complain most of the time. Like it's like a just useless thing to do. It's like if you could complain or you could try to figure out some kind of solution to make it better. And I mean, it's not always perfect. Obviously, we're all human. So once in a while, you're just like, it's part of life.
Right. Yeah. So how have you been?
I've been busy, man. I just picked up a full-time job on top of everything I'm doing because, like, obviously with doing like environmental research, the money isn't right there right away. Hence, like the NFT project. So it's a slow build, and unless we can get top 15 in the contest, but it's a slow build. So I'm like, we gotta get out of the in-laws. We've been here 2 years longer than we thought we would because of the pandemic and the shutdown and everything. It literally just put a halt to everything that we were doing.
Yeah.
As it did for a lot of people. And yo, what's up, Ron? And it was just one of those things where this job was like, I get to work 40 hours a week, but in 4 days. They don't care if I'm like checking in on my phone to like check on my employees and everything like that. They don't mind. They know the nature of all my businesses, so they know it's a cannabis-based business on every front that I do.
Right.
And yeah, they just were super flexible. It's actually really crazy. So I was just like, damn, I gotta take this. Like I gotta make it work somehow. And it's been tough. Like past 2 nights, I've been working 9 to 6:30, 9 to 6, get home at 6:30, at 7 start making product until like 10:30.
Right.
Just going stupid hard. So that's why I've been just so completely absent from the community, honestly. It sucks.
I hear you though, man. You gotta pay bills and work and do some shit, and then it's part of the deal. Until it's not, right? Until it's not part of the deal, and that's coming. Then you're gonna get to do some. You already are doing cool shit, but then you'll get to do some cool shit.
My coworkers ask about everything I'm doing, and they're like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, where did you come from?" Like,
right?
They're like, I was telling them about the environmental research side and like the CBD side, and then I was talking about the podcast and music, and they're like, "What the fuck don't you do?" I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's all like in the same wheelhouse. It's like
everything. Where are we broadcasting on, by the way, just so that I know, so I can.
We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Reddit.
Oh, it doesn't stream to Instagram, so I should probably delete my last tweet.
Yeah, I haven't found the right software to integrate correctly into Instagram Live. And I think that's why, like, even Gary, when he goes live with guests, sometimes he like will just go by himself, or he'll have the phone on a screen, because
Right.
like, Instagram just isn't very good with the integrations, which doesn't even make sense. They know how to do it, like they're already integrated with Facebook. They have all the RTMP code that you need in the background to get the stream to go there. Like, come on, step your
Oh,
shit
cool.
up.
This is easy. I can
What's up, Sarah?
retweet from here. What's up, Sarah?
Oh yeah, I always forget that I actually have to retweet too, because for some reason it doesn't like share at the initial time. Sometimes it just like is there. It's weird. I'm gonna retweet that shit. All right. I was just thinking it's so nice that yeah, Sarah, that's the only reason I don't do IG. I would definitely do IG, and I've thought about it, like just putting my phone up, but it's just a whole extra thing,
Oh,
and I
yeah, the
wouldn't pay that much attention to Instagram. Like, I can see Reddit comments, I can see every other comment, but it would just be tough. But yeah, what's been new with you, man? I know that freaking LA trip was the most epic thing, and I'm still so sad I missed it, but it looks like it was so epic.
Oh, we missed you too, man. It would have been a blast to have you there, and it was fucking epic. So thank you again to everybody that came out a day early to celebrate my birthday with me, because it was unbelievably cool. Yeah, man. I know a lot of folks have heard the story, but we got into town on Thursday on my birthday. Rental car company gave us a nice little upgrade to a little Mercedes SUV to roll around in LA in, which was kind of all swanky and whatnot.
Right.
Swanky little hotel. And yeah, and then we get to the Strand House in Manhattan Beach, and Amanda has me across the street, just kind of holed up, waiting for whatever's going to happen. And we go to stand in front of the door, and now there's like 20 people blocking the doorway, but waiting for we were waiting for outside for Jeremy's Instagram Live. So everybody had me jump on Jeremy's Instagram Live with him, and hey, Sal, how's it going? It's your birthday, blah, blah, blah. And he's standing right in front of me, and I didn't realize it. Like, as I'm watching him on Instagram Live, I'm not putting it together that he's anywhere near. And so I'm staring at the phone like an idiot. He's literally right here. And so everybody was like, hey, man, look up. So Jeremy's there. Yeah, Jeremy surprised me. He came out.
Yep.
Collie Buds jumped on FaceTime and said happy birthday. Lauren Michelle, the opera diva, really the meta diva, she popped in.
Diva, I love it.
Yeah. And she popped in and sang an operatic version of Happy Birthday, which was just,
dude, that
stopped the whole place.
Watching it, I couldn't imagine being sitting next to her. Like, your face the whole time, you were just looking at her like.
I was blown away, dude. I was just absolutely blown away. I didn't understand what was happening. None of it was like so surreal. It was so crazy cool. And look, 20 of our good friends in and around the community that came out to hang out, and yeah, threw down for the birthday dinner, and it was amazing. It was just amazing. So I was honored, absolutely honored. Thank you again to my lovely bride Amanda, who, if it wasn't for her, you probably would be reading my obituary today rather than hanging out with me on streaming live. So she really is. She's one of the reasons why I'm still here and made it through some of the dark times. And yeah, then we got to hang out with Brian and the rest of the crew doing the Dodgers game and the first pitch for Brian Lopez, and then next day we hung out at Universal Studios together, and it was just crazy, man. It was crazy cool. So then I went back. I didn't have enough, so I went back to LA. The following week, I had it was a master class at legendary Sunset Sound in Hollywood. Yep. Sunset Sound's been around for, I don't know, 50 years, 60 years, something like that. Yep. And literally all the greats, Zeppelin, the Stones, Van Halen, like all the early records were cut in Studio One there, which used to be a auto repair shop. So they built the studio, the main room or the live room where all the players play. They had to build it on this slanted slab that used to be like, the reason they had it on a slanted slab back in the day is they didn't have like underground drainage and all that stuff. So it all used to go just in the corner of the room or the corner of the land, and they didn't level it or anything. They just paved over it. And so there's this big slanted room that you go into, all these weird dimensions and stuff, but it works. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's where Adele cut piano and vocals, or maybe just the piano for Someone Like You. And a lot of the biggest records of all time have been cut there. The Doors, Zeppelin, and all their gold records hanging on the hallway, when you come in. But we went to Studio 3. Well, actually, let me back up. Studio 2. I'm sorry, I'm talking the whole time. It's only been 10 minutes, and I'm already chewing up the whole thing. Studio 2 was closed. We didn't get a tour of Studio 2. And I found out why. So every day we'd go out to the courtyard and, take a break or smoke or whatever. And this little old man's shuffling around, suspenders, jeans, collared shirt, long white hair, long white beard, mustache. And I shot a photo to one of my buddies who was in my band in high school. And we're still friends 30 years later. And he was like, "Who's that David Crosby looking guy?" I was like, "Well, that's David Crosby." So David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash was there cutting a record the whole week and into the next week. And got to see him and his wife and his whole crew of players and stuff. And we all hang out in the courtyard together. And so that was Studio 2. Studio 3 is where we were at. And we were just cutting a single for a local artist. The players that the producer gets. So the producer is Warren Hewart, and he runs a community called Produce Like a Pro, and it's really, really super educational, supportive, informative. They do a ton of mixing contests. That's actually where I made it onto a new artist named Close record with Blackout Remix that was released in January. And he offered this masterclass, 3 days, 3 days in the studio with him at Sunset Sound, and watching the process of cutting a track in a pro studio start to finish. And I come from a radio background. It's not like it's foreign.
Yes.
And have, home production set up and stuff like that. But I thought, man, how cool. What I didn't know is Studio 3 is where Prince cut his first 3 records. So I worked, in fact, did I post it today? I don't think I did post it. The video's too long, so I got to chop it down. But I sat down and actually started the rough mix for the song. Once everything was cut on Saturday night, we spent everybody that was there in the masterclass, we spent 2 hours mixing the song and doing at least the rough mix for the final vocals on Sunday. And it's the same spot, man, where he cut his own vocals for Purple Rain, and same board. It's this old 70s API console, vintage console, vintage room. And it's hollowed ground, man. It was unreal. It was another just surreal back to back, the birthday weekend and VeeFriends in LA, and then going right back and having another just unbelievable experience that I used to think was once in a lifetime. And now my mind is expanding, Adam, as a result of these experiences in the last 5 months in this space.
Right. It's like I can have a bunch of epic experiences, and it's just okay. You can kind of expect it in a sense. There's bad that happens, and you got to take the good with the bad. I always tell people that I'm like, oh, I won I was telling my coworkers that today. I'm like, oh, I won this VeeFriend NFT. I know you guys don't really understand NFTs, but current day I get $50,000 to $100,000 offers on it, and realistically, it's a 7-figure thing in the future. And they're just like, what?
They don't even understand the 6 figures.
And I was like, but the day after I won that, I totaled my car. I was T-boned. T-boned and totaled my car. I was like, so there's good and bad that happens, and you can't get too lost in the bad. But like times like that, dude, like you have to like pinch yourself. Like, is this fucking real? Like, I'm in the studios. Like, you can like almost feel like the essence of Prince singing Purple Rain in there. Like, oh my god, dude, chills just thinking about that.
Weird, like just weird to even be in the same. Some of the players that were in there. Victor Andreso, world famous drummer. He had just come off like 2 or 3 months with Alanis Morissette. Bass player Sean Hurley, backup vocalist is Steve. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'm going to screw it up. But he's now the 6th keyboard player for Toto. And yeah, just crazy cool. Like, the players were incredible. The facility was incredible. The staff is unbelievably attentive. Going in there, and so it's $1,800 a day to record there. But they give you a tech and all the support you need to, do patching and effects and all that stuff. If there's anything you need, they go get it immediately. And yeah, it's insane.
If I had that money, I would totally pay somebody to mix, because it really is so tedious. Like, people don't realize what goes into a 3.5-minute song. Like, you're literally talking, like, my process, it takes me between 2 hours and like 2 weeks to finish writing a song. And then recording it, I might get it right on the first time. Like, I'd say like 60% of the time I get it right on the first time. But then the other 40, I'm nitpicking it to death until I hate it. And then
recutting the vocals 10 times and you wind up using the first one.
Literally, totally. You're like,
oh,
I just wasted the past hour for no fucking reason. That's great.
This was just incredible. And so 3 days is probably a little long. The players were done in like, I don't know. I mean, it took, 3-4 hours to get everything set. And
it wasn't 17 minutes, Steve.
No,
it was like an hour it took me to write that, but it did take me like, I one take that whole entire song, the chorus, the verses, everything. I was feeling it that day.
So yeah, man, I mean, all that, and then came home, and that's why this is here, is got some skin cancer removed, some basal cell carcinoma. So is what it is, right? Like you said, take the good with the bad, and that wasn't even that bad. I mean, we went in, he's pretty confident he got it all. This is the second spot that they've found, and so that's it. Had to go in for a little body work and take the body into the shop.
Did you get plastic surgery and you're just faking it?
No, so they offered, they ask you if you want to have a plastic surgeon there the day of the procedure. They'll bring somebody in just in case, if you want to have like grafting and, a little touch up, maybe work done. They probably wouldn't do like full rhinoplasty, but yeah, he's good. I mean, he did a good job on the spot on my back, and I can't even tell you how amazingly this thing is healing. It's the weirdest thing.
The Arizona sun is strong.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look, that's a direct result of just poor choices as a kid. I mean, growing up here and living in Arizona for 40x years, whatever it is now, and like I was never the kid to put sunscreen on. If anything, I was putting like the tanning, the Wine Tropic tanning lotion on. Right. Like, how dark can I get it? And never protected my face or my nose or anything like that. So my parents didn't care. It was the 80s.
I never really have either. Like, but I don't know. I'm not out in the sun that much, for it to. I don't think it'll bother me, but I don't knock on wood. Every time I knock on wood, that thing happens. So I'm not gonna.
Right. Exactly.
I was gonna say, I have this stuff called FICO, full extract cannabis oil. You probably have it because Arizona's a legal state, I believe. So FICO, you can actually take it. People, you take it for like cancer. Like, I had somebody that took it for uterine cancer, and she healed herself taking it, and fixed her diet and stuff like that too, because that's important for cancer, beating cancer. But it's also shown pretty good results if you put it on topically. So you take like literally what you would eat, you just rub it on your skin, like a little dab of it every day. And I've seen people post pictures of like little carcinomas like shrinking down on their arm.
No way.
Yeah. Might be worth a shot.
Yeah. And this one was actually really small. It was like maybe the size of like a little pimple.
Oh,
They took out though, like I mean, the size of a diamond stud. They carved this huge chunk out of it, and they tested it all on site. Make sure it's good. But if I told you how well this was healing, dude, you wouldn't even believe it. Like 3 days, it had already started to fill in pretty well, and yeah, I mean it's nasty. Like I'm not. You want to see it? But yeah,
you want to see it?
Miraculous, dude. He's like, well, you're probably gonna have a little divot there, a little crease or something like that. I don't think there's gonna be anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like a little Wolverine healing up in a few days.
Maybe I can take a bullet. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't
The only way,
want to find out.
one way to find out.
I don't want to find out. So yeah, man. Other than that, I working with Dorsey doing coaching. She's literally the top coaching, co-parenting coaching coach on the planet. And so I'm blessed and honored to be able to work with her and help, do some work in that space. And we help parents that are going through all that back and forth in court with the he said, she said, and many times kids that are showing signs of some kind of pathogenic parenting happening in the family. It's an interesting dynamic. I went through a lot of it myself and made a lot of poor choices that made it worse and couldn't get out of it and got stuck. And I found her as a resource first to help me in my situation. And as a result of meeting her, I couldn't help but get involved. We hit it off right away, and that was about 5 years ago. And so now I'm working with her. I think leaving my job at Apple and just moving forward with that. And it's kind of weird to say, but also this space, man. There's just so much going on in the space, so it's fun. And thank you for the kudos and the recognition on the front end. I agree with you. I think there are a lot of talented folks, Nicole, Jeremy, a bunch of folks that are, forging their way in, of course, in the VeeFriends community and beyond. Julie Sue and others. There's a lot of talented people. So I'm even honored that you mentioned my name in that list of folks, because they're extremely talented. So thank you. It's been fun.
I feel like thank you, Chaotic. I was actually gonna ask you guys if I fixed the echo because I was doing some stuff in the background.
Cool.
But yeah, it seems like we've kind of had similar paths, honestly, and I think that's why we connect so much.
Yeah.
I think we did it at different ages and stuff, but you were telling me you used to be couch surfing, and I did the same thing for a while. I literally was homeless, either sleeping in my car when it was nice enough or couch surfing during the winter and stuff like that, and never really I had roots set anywhere. I just never settled down anywhere, and it's not good when you do that. It's definitely not. I mean, you learn a lot. You definitely learn a lot. You learn how to be tough. You learn how to be resourceful, more than resourceful.
Yep.
But it's draining. I remember those days.
Yeah. There's been I don't know, how far do you want to go back? You want to do it all? You want to dump? You want to dump right now? I mean, I grew up in a kind of typical middle class family. My dad grew up in a just a rough situation in Brooklyn. They were piss broke. My grandfather didn't work. He was drunk. My dad would have to 9, 10, 11 go drag him out of bars, and take him home because he got his ass kicked. And just didn't take care of his family. He was abusive and alcoholic. And eventually my dad basically moved himself and his mom, my grandma, out of where they were living, and got a new apartment and started a new life. And he started working in the food business since he was 9, cleaning, fish shops in Brooklyn and putting together, 50 cents a week or whatever it was back then, 25 cents a week. And eventually got hooked up with the Ivoroni brothers back there. So they had a bunch of pork stores. The family also owned A&S and they grew their one little deli into like 5 or 6, him and the Ivoroni kids. And then he left. He came out to Arizona to visit my godfather, and we never went home. It was just supposed to be a 2-week vacation. And he sent my mom back on the plane to New York and said, "Sell everything. We're moving out here." And just like that. And opened his own little delicatessen, Tony's Italian Deli, that 45 years ago in July he opened it. And this past August, they finally closed the doors. The guy that bought it from my dad finally shut it down. It's just, they had a really tough run through COVID, and it's really tough to, find good help and to carry on the name. I actually thought about going back to Tucson and taking it over and seeing what I could do with it. And it's old. It's a 60 or 70-year-old building that it needs a lot of work, and the landlords are not super supportive. And as nice as they were, over the years, to really afford them some opportunities to stay in that space for as long as they did, because they didn't have to do us any favors that way. But yeah, so it's kind of sad. Family legacy is done, but
that part of it.
Yeah, that part of it. So what's interesting is, as soon as I could, because I grew up working there since I was a kid, as soon as I was old enough, I ran down the street to McDonald's, because I thought that would be better than working for my dad. And the truth is, it kind of led to, well, my parents went through their whole thing too. They got divorced. My dad put a 22 to his chin. He tried to take his life. He was overwhelmed with just life and pressure and alcohol and drugs, and they pissed away probably, I don't know, $250,000, $500,000 in a very short amount of time. So even though we grew up okay and they owned their own business and we never starved, that was the cool part about the food business. We never starved, right? We never went hungry. The downside is they got hooked up with a lot of people that they were trying to impress that they didn't even like, right? A lot of what Gary talks about. So it hurt, and the family got kind of scattered when I hit about, I don't know, 17, and out of my own, and trying to figure out life, and fractured family and splitting and all kinds of fun stuff that went along with that. And finally, kind of things started to kind of balance out for me, and I found a job in radio after working a bunch of years at McDonald's, and onesie twosie, like these kind of cool call center jobs.
How old were you?
This is back in 21. Yeah, 21, 22. And the dream that I always had when I was a kid, I literally was the kid that got up, Adam, no joke. I would get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday when everybody else is sleeping in, or, watching cartoons. And I'd sneak outside. We had a radio out back, and I'd turn it on really, really quiet, because I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought it was, rebellious or whatever, because I turned on my dad's stereo at like 6. And I used to listen to our top 40 station. It was the Rick D's weekly countdown, the Rick D's weekly top 40. And I was just fascinated. It absolutely was fascinating how he was able to talk to bands and singers, and how did they do that thing where they play the commercials, but also he says what city he's in, and is he really here?
Top 40.
Yeah, really cool stuff, dude. And so it captured me from the time I was a kid. I wanted to perform. One of the first concerts I went to was after I saw. So we had HBO back when it was a little box with a switch, and that was it. You turn on the switch, and you turn on channel 3. And then you watched HBO. That was how cable worked back in the day. That was the first iteration. Yeah, it was so wild. But I saw, it was like the only thing on the first month was a Barry Manilow live from Monte Carlo concert. But I thought it was the coolest thing. Like back then, we're talking whatever it was, 80 something, 82. And so what he always did really well is he just told stories, right? And he wrote a lot of jingles that people remember, because he just writes catchy shit. And so the first concert I ever went to was a Barry Manilow concert, and I was just blown away. I was floored. It was amazing. So cheesy, like looking back, like completely cheesy. The white, skin tight bell bottoms, and ruffled shirt and all that stuff. And I just thought I just ate it up, man. I thought it was so good, and I wanted to perform one way or the other. I was getting on the radio. So 22, I finally got an opportunity to start at a radio station. I was just working part-time doing afternoon drive and cutting commercials. That was my whole job for like 6 hours a day. And I had to work like 2 other jobs. I was trying to go to school all at the same time. We were dead broke, my first wife and I. And but this thing happened. And 3 months after I got that first job, the guy that runs the station, the program director, he also did the morning show, was fired for doing something stupid. And they promoted me to morning show host and program director of this little station.
Just like that.
In Tucson, just like that, dude. 3 months. It was crazy. And from there, it was a 10-year run of just a lot of fun. I bounced around the Southwest, from Tucson to Albuquerque to Central California. I started in Christian radio, and I landed in kind of top 40 and dance, and worked at Kiss FM here in Phoenix. Was one of the last places I stopped at, and then a dance station, and I got to do some cool shit, man. Lots of really cool, fun stuff, and then divorce. So a lot of the really cool, fun stuff that last year, I partied my ass off for about 1.5 years, and lost my family, lost my career at radio, I wrecked my car, and just dead broke. And now what? Nothing. I didn't have a job, didn't have a place to live, didn't have a way to get around, and just stuck. And that was 2005. And so I kind of just tried to get through, man. I just stayed with friends and picked up a job at McDonald's again after all those years. Went back to working at McDonald's and getting behind on child support, and just didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, man. I was, I always said, like, I couldn't understand how people, wound up like on the streets, or, like picking cigarettes out of, ashtrays at the corner store and all that. And I was there, man. Yeah.
All of a sudden you understood.
I could tell you exactly how that happens. It's a lot of poor choices. And yeah. And so it was tough, and went through a really high conflict custody battle back and forth with my kid's mom, and finally started to kind of get my act together. It only took about 1.5 years, but it took, after the SWAT team showed up at my house, after wrecking a car and a DUI, and in a drunken
What did
stupor.
you do for SWAT to show up?
Well, I always tell people, like, that's why I can't drink anymore, because I have a really bad allergy to alcohol. And so everybody asks, well, what happens? And I tell them, well, the SWAT team showed up. That's the bad reaction. And so it was a direct result of just blackout drunk one night. I broke into my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend actually by then, broke into her house through the dog door, stole her pistol. I was running around town threatening suicide, and called the ex, and if you won't let me see the kids, I'll show up to the school and I'll just blow my brains out and end my life. And the next thing I knew, SWAT team was at my house, and I was in the tank for 24 hours doing a nice little fucking detox, and getting clean. And yeah, a lot of other shit along with that. There's a whole mess of wreckage in the middle of that story. But the punchline is October 1st, 2006, I woke up in a pool of my own piss. I'd been out partying and celebrating my birthday with a bunch of friends, and blacked out and just embarrassed myself at multiple nightclubs in Scottsdale. And they just literally left me on the side of the road.
Wow.
Yeah, just wrecked, just ruined. And I was like, that sucks. I don't think I want to do this anymore. So I found actually the rooms of AA, and that was at a couple people's recommendations. My probation officer, for one.
And he's like, you might want to do this.
He's like,
look good in court.
dude, you may need a meeting. And then I had a buddy at the last station that I was at. He would just kind of rib me all the time, like, "Hey, man, if you never need a meeting," I'm like, "Meeting for what?" He's like, "Well, for
You're
alcohol,
drinking.
drinking." Oh, dude, I'm not going to AA. Screw you, man. I'm good. Trust me, I'm good. I'm having a great time. This is amazing. I love taking the bus or riding a bike everywhere. It's fantastic. I love losing a place to live. And the last radio station I was at, the owners let me stay in like one of the office suites that had a shower. It's like an executive suite
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But even that, like, it was just deplorable. Like, it was I was on the balls of my ass, dude. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, so the punchline is found AA. And a couple years later, I met my wife, Amanda, and she, heard about my story, and she still decided to stick with me. And that was, God, 13, 14 years ago. And yeah. And every single day since then has been better than the one before it. And even on bad days, dude, it's not, even the bad days are better than any of those mornings waking up on the side of the road covered in piss, or the SWAT team showing up, or wake up in a wrecked car and go, "What happened?" Or not know if you killed somebody or any of that shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks when I definitely went through a big phase, like when I was 22 till I was probably around 25. I was just drinking so heavy. The heaviest was like 22 and 23. I would just like I'd drink all night with my friends, drink a bunch of rum, wake up in the morning, finish the bottle, and then like go do my thing, come back home, drink some more. Like, I was like such a functioning alcoholic, like I would go to work full time, I'd go to the gym, and then like just these stupid decisions. I'd leave the gym, pop back a shot, and then eat some McDonald's,
Yeah.
like fucking
Perfect.
moron. Like,
I did that too, though. I would leave the gym and I go to McDonald's all the time.
Dude.
Like, I don't know what kind of thinking that was, but
Well, the gym that I go to is next to Taco Bell, so that's tough because I'm just like, well, I can get healthy-ish options, and like I don't feel as bad. I guess I can get a black bean crunch wrap supreme.
right.
But yeah, it's a big difference between having to survive off that. Like when I was couch surfing, I remember like my meal was 2 McDoubles, and that's all I could afford, like $2 and
Was it, dude?
25 cents.
Listen, I would budget, $5 a day or $5 a week, right? So you try to figure out, okay, which day, or maybe I might get paid, a little bit extra. So, but which at what time of the day would you go grab a McDouble and a water when they were actually $1?
Yep.
And that was it. That's what you ate for, 5 days. And then when you scrape $5 or $10 together, you went and bought, I'd go and buy like 5, Michelinas, for whatever it is, 10 for, what do they do? 10 for $10 or
Yep.
yeah, $1 a piece. Go buy 5 of those, go buy, a dozen packs of ramen, and good to go, dude. That was it. That was what you ate.
Yeah.
That's what I could afford.
Damn. I remember those days. Talk about low points, actually. Like when I first moved to Arizona, I transferred my job down there. It was a voluntary transfer.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay for anything. So like all the money I had saved up, I used it to move because I was like, it seems like a way better opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And so when I first got there, I had to put down a little bit more money on my apartment than I thought I had to, and I was almost completely dead broke, and I like didn't have money to buy food. So my boy came down with me from Wyoming. Like he drove down he took the trip with me, and he was like, this one time when I was homeless, I had to do this thing. And I was like, what? He's like, I called a pizza place, and I told them that I got the wrong order last night, and I just didn't have time to fix it. And it'd be awesome if you could fix it tonight. and this is before, like, they had really complex computer systems that could figure out that this is a
Right.
scam.
Right.
So I did it to like every single one within a few weeks, and I just survived off pizza for a while, pizza and
Wow.
like McDonald's, like just free pizza. Because
Yeah.
my thing I would always say is I ordered an everything pizza with no olives, and you put olives on it, and my kid's allergic to it. Like I didn't even have
Yeah.
kids. I'm just like lying to get food. It's just such a low point. And what's funny is I think back to those times, and I still remember buying alcohol. Like
Right.
it's fucking crazy, actually.
I did, and I remember, dude. I mean, 19. I mean, we were the guys that, like, we would throw parties in our apartment with no electricity, right? So we'd run the extension cord to the fridge over to the neighbor's house. It's just so that we could have beer in the house, and alcohol, but no lights. So, and people would come over. I don't know why people came over. It was ridiculous, but yeah, man. I mean, those are some of the ways that, I recognize for me, like, it was just completely backwards thinking, right? And priorities and shame and guilt and all that stuff that comes with it, that sometimes you feel like you can't dig out of it, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't even matter if you know what's right or wrong. And it's not that it's good or bad or right or wrong. It just is, right? Those are just decisions that we made. And finally came to a place where I was like, I got to make some conscious decisions, man. I got to find a job that's solid, that I can eat, pay my child support, live somewhere, and just go to work every day. And I did that. I found a job that paid okay, not great, but enough to do all of those things. And it was tough. It was fucking tough, dude. We lived in a 600 square foot apartment for $600 a month in kind of the southeast corner of town, red light district, and ate a shit ton of ramen. And but then things started to get better slowly, right? Just keep doing that one right thing, like just show up to work every day.
Yep.
And did that for a few years, and got a little promotion, a little raise, and started to kind of pull out of it. And part of it really was setting goals around what did I really want. And so I actually started to write down, like, these are the 3 things I want. I want to get a promotion to, like, team manager within 6 months. I want to get a promotion to whatever in 18 months. I want to, and that promotion, I want to reach, this dollar amount. And it was, for me, it was 50. I think I said $52,000. I don't know why, but I picked 52 as the number. And it's so weird. This was in 2000, end of 2008. I was working at AT&T as a contractor. There was like 300 of us in a AT&T building that were all working for different BPOs, or business process organizations, vendors, just filling seats, right, to take phone calls for AT&T Uverse tech support. And there was no chance of getting a raise or a promotion or anything. All the management and everything was all AT&T. That was like untouchable. You couldn't get a job with AT&T. But you could maybe do some like special projects and stuff, and that was about it. Well, somebody came in. There was a company that came in and bought up all the contracts, and they offered for AT&T to let go of their own team, and that they would run operations in the building, and AT&T took the deal. And they retired like 25 people. So it opened up an opportunity for me to step into leading a team. After I had just written down these goals, it took exactly 6 months, and I was offered a job as leading a team. And so it was writing it down, man. It's magic. Pen to paper. You can
manifest,
call it whatever you want, man. It was manifesting at such a high level. And it's stuff that my dad tried to teach me when I was a kid, and I just didn't want to listen. Or I thought it was like pipe dreams and stuff like that, because he was writing down some fucking crazy shit. But I was like, dude, you're never going to do that. And what I didn't realize is that it was entirely achievable. In fact, his goals now, looking back, I'm like, that now, bro, you were so small-minded. You have no idea what potential is out there. But the punchline was, it was exactly 6 months. I got the first promotion. I worked for 9 months to train up my replacement. I immediately switched gears. And so I got this team high performing. There was a big spotlight on us. It was a big special deal that we were doing, and trained up my replacement over the next 9 months. And so that goal that I had for within a year and a half to get the second promotion to like a second line manager and really coaching and developing at a high level, that came
Wow.
in exactly 15 months. And the number that was associated with the first raise was exactly $52,000. They offered me like 50, and I asked, just on a whim, I just said, "What about 52?"
52,000?
They literally, and no joke. So if you ever go in for a job, by the way, everybody, if you ever go in for a job, interview, promotion, offer, whatever, do not be afraid to ask. You will not get it if you don't ask. And I'm not even joking when I tell you it took all of 7 seconds. So I asked, and the whoever the VP was, I think it was Missy, she's like, "Can you run that?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." 52 divided by whatever. Yeah, we can do that. It took literally 7 seconds to close that deal for exactly the number that I wrote down. So now I have 3 goals in, I don't know, less than a year and a half.
Yeah.
That I knocked out, that I wrote down. And I'm like, all right, what's next? And so I started working with other people. That's when I really actually started to turn my attention to coaching and developing others to do the same thing.
Is that when you met Dorsey?
Not yet. But that's when some magic happened. I got time with my kids back. Like, there was a lot of really cool shit that happened. And then I got an offer to move out of state about 3 years later, 3 years later, to do the same thing, to start a call center from scratch in Canton, Ohio. The guy that was running operations there in Mesa, he jumped ship and jumped on with a different company working on the exact same project, but just opening a call center from scratch, and asked if I wanted to go. And I was like, sure, let's go. I did not know exactly where Canton, Ohio was, or what it was. No, I love Canton, and anybody that's back there, you're my Canton crew. We met some amazing people, and lifelong friends, really great relationships. But yeah, did it again. Went out there, built a really, really high performing team. They did things that AT&T didn't expect, and so they had no choice but to reward them with even bigger and better things that their own internal teams could not do well as we could. And yeah, went to Texas, tried for the trifecta, failed miserably, and came running home. I said, all right, that's enough of that. I think I want to be home, done traveling. And so came back to Phoenix and got on with Apple a few months later, and been doing that for about 7 years. But met Dorsey in the process, because when I was out of state, I didn't get a visitation agreement from my kid's mom. My fault. That's 100% my fault. I should have done that. And communication with the kids started to wane, and then just disappear altogether. Couldn't get her to agree to any kind of visitation for the kids to come out there. Came back home 3 times over the course of a couple of years. And on the last visit, it didn't go well. It was very difficult to even get it to happen in the first place. And so I said, I can't keep doing this. The court would not award me visitation in Ohio. So I came home, dropped the job, dropped everything out there that we were trying to build, and said, screw it, I'm coming home. And I came home. Court still wouldn't work with me. Ordered reunification therapy that did not work. In fact, my kids didn't. The reunification therapist never got us in the room together after months of working. Yeah, I know. So this is the fundamental issue. This is why I do this work now. And then after the court failed me and just didn't, they didn't help the situation. I mean, I made that bed, but they certainly didn't help get me, moving forward with my kids. So I had no choice. I had to find resources somewhere to make it right, and found Dorsey. A lot of nights crying, a lot of paranoia, a lot of depression, anxiety, all that shit set in. That was around 2015, 2016. Started a support group to help other parents going through it. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't even have an answer. I just knew something maybe could come out of that. Two heads are better than one. And but my emotional state, man, I was in shambles. I had to take leave of absence from work for a few months to go try some bridge medications and therapy, and had to do it again a couple years later with intensive outpatient. And that none of that. I mean, that was all good to help maintain. Therapy has its place, but the work that I do now, that Dorsey's been working on for 15 years now, it's actually the answer. It's the solution for all of that turmoil that family court causes a lot of families, the majority of families. There is a way out, and it's all about mental health. It's not actually about the court custody case at all. It has to do with just what's happening in that dynamic. When kids are rejecting their parents, that's not normal. That's just not normal. That's not built into us from a DNA perspective. 10,000 years ago, if we strayed away from the cave, we got eaten by tigers. That's what happened.
Yeah, so, evolutionarily, we want to be near our parents. So when and so many of us do try to rebel, especially at a younger age, against our parents now, which is very odd. But so what is the solution for that, right? Because I come from a super broken home. Like I got taken from my mom when I was 6 years old. She was accused of molesting her boyfriend's kids, and it wasn't true. It was actually him molesting my brother and I. And that never ever went to court, and my mom had to fight for 4 years to even see us. 5 years I didn't see her. I saw her for every other weekend either in a visitation facility for DCF or at McDonald's play place, or at the park, for an hour every other week for 5 years. It's crazy when I think about the fact
to hear that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And then even when my mom, won custody, she was dating a lawyer and then got married to a lawyer. And my dad was poor and moving us all around and super unstable. So then we moved with him, and it's I don't even know my mom. I haven't seen her in 5 years. I don't really even remember much about her, besides the visits and the bad stuff you say about her all the time, because that is something that happens with split homes. Is kids, I was that kid, oftentimes get caught in the middle because the egos of the parents, they can't put it aside to actually talk to each other, so they talk through man. And I was always that kid. Tell your father, tell your mother, tell your father, tell your mother. It's when I think about that, I'm like, holy shit, dude. I never want to do that to my kids. That was so scarring, just forcing me to grow up at a very, 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 very young age, essentially, because I was the mediator for my parents.
Right. And that's the fundamental issue. When children are placed in the middle of the spousal conflict, or really the divorce conflict, that's what the problem is. And it shows up a lot of different ways. It shows up in behavior in the children. It's no question in your case, it was dad's influence and some things that were happening as a direct result. And it's not surprising that there's some abuse in there. I'm so sorry, Adam. I didn't know all the details of your story, that's how deep it ran. Yeah. But the solution is there really is only one answer, and it's the court's duty to protect that they're failing to activate. When attorneys are going in and just pointing the finger at mom and dad, it's no different. Look, you don't have to, by the way, at home, you don't have to pay an attorney to do that. You both can just do that for free. Just go into the courtroom and just, do the back and forth. Sure. But the problem is whether the attorneys, are arguing it or not, the family court system, all they know how to do is throw up their hands and say, well, we don't know. It sounds like you all need a reunification therapist or some kind of family therapy. So that's what we're going to order. In effect, what the family court system does is they do assessment and diagnosis from the bench, and they prescribe the treatment for something that doesn't work. It's reunification therapy is what it's called, and that does not exist. That's not a thing. So
it doesn't sound like they reunify anybody.
And they don't. They're not equipped. There's some, listen, some therapists, and it depends on who it is. So some court systems might have a list of appointed, experts that it's a list you can pull from and start calling around and find out who's available or get appointed to the case. And sometimes you'll see some like clinical psychologists in there, maybe a psychiatrist or something like that. Sometimes they're forensic, meaning that really all their only job is to just simply look at data and report on it. They're not necessarily clinical psychologists that are, their whole study was around treating or assessing and diagnosing issues in people and then prescribing the right treatment. That's really what a clinical psychologist does. That's their primary role. And so there's some therapists that do that. Maybe they just came up just short of a doctorate, right? Or they got their PhD and they just had no interest in a PsyD to be doctor whatever of psychology. So they go the therapist route, right? Maybe a licensed counselor or a licensed social worker, something like that. And at the end of the day, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them just are executing the orders that were handed down by the court.
Yep.
That's their job. That's why they have judicial immunity, and there's not really any other way around that. When you're just trying to, shake people and tell them what's wrong, and hey, this doesn't feel right, and why are children rejecting their parents? I mean, murderers can get visitation with their kids, for crying out loud, right?
Yep.
And even if I was abusive, even if I smacked the crap out of my kids, if the cops were called and they were dragging me out in handcuffs, the kids would be grabbing on an ankle saying, "Don't take my mom, don't take my dad," right? That's the truth. That's built into us. That's fight or flight. Don't take my protecting parent because I don't want to get eaten by tigers. So that's what's supposed to happen. What actually happens is what is starting to become more widely known now as pathogenic parenting. And it's quite simply, it's imprinting of usually some traits of narcissism, borderline personality disorder, maybe some antisocial, and some other clinical signs in the children that usually are not possible either. So we don't diagnose kids as narcissistic or borderline or any of those things because it's usually not possible while they're still developing and 5-10 years out from fully developed brains. So we hold off on those diagnoses, but if they show up, if the clinical signs show up, that is imprinting from somewhere. So let's just say in your case, the only possibility after not seeing your mom for 5 or 6 years, if those kinds of behaviors were there, let's just say there was rejection of mom and the confusion, and then the fear sets in of, oh my gosh, I'm with the abusive parent. What do I do? How do I manage this? There's only one way that you, as kids, that we can figure out how to manage it, and that was, well, I'm going to reject you because I'm afraid to do anything. And so that is, it's vital that a clinical psychologist or someone that can perform a proper assessment and diagnosis come in, look at the symptom set in the children, and not dismiss it as, well, we got to listen to the kids and whatever they want. That's actually not the right answer. Listen to the kids and listen to what they're saying, but match it up with what's in the DSM. This is why there's a diagnostic manual, and it's for mental health providers to be able to go down the list and go, oh, yeah, a fixed false belief. Oh, right. There's also a encapsulated delusion of dad's all bad and mom's all good, or mom did something and abused me in your case, right? And that never happened, but that's what I was told. So, okay, I'm supposed to believe that. And that's all clinical science that, it can be identified. It just, it isn't, it's not today.
It does feel like when I think back to it, like I never said my mom did, because I was like, what the hell? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, my mom was a lot of things back then, but not that. Like, she worked all the time. She really didn't pay us a lot of mind. Her boyfriend would always smoke cigarettes and weed and blow it in our face and shit. You know, like, it was not a good environment, but that wasn't what she was doing. And in my mind, I'm like, why is this even happening? Like, how does this happen? Like, what is going on? And then, like I said, when I moved back in with my mom, well, going back further than that, actually, when the before we were taken away, the DCF workers basically, it wasn't therapy, it was like interrogation.
Right.
It was like they're just trying to dig and find information about your parents to like dig them further and further and further.
Right.
And again, from a young age, these are the reasons I had to grow up quick, because I was like, wait a second, these motherfuckers are trying to play me. You
Right.
know, these motherfuckers are trying to turn me against like my parents, like make who's the bad guy, who's the good one. And I'm like, I love both my parents. What do you mean? Like, no,
Bingo.
it's the truth. I'm like, no, like I love both my
Absolutely.
parents. I don't know what's going on with my mom. Why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. She would never do something like that.
Absolutely.
They're like, you just don't understand. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, like
Yeah.
at like 7 years old saying this shit.
And that's
And
the right answer. The right
yeah.
answer is, children deserve to give and receive love from both parents.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then it was
unless,
even tougher because then when I moved back with her, that 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 lawyer stepdad that I had, he was a real douche. He was a Vietnam Marine, and he treated me like I was, a recruit basically.
yeah,
And because from the beginning, I missed my dad, so I was crying every night,
yeah,
and like sometimes I like full blown panic attacks because I'm crying so bad and I
right.
can't breathe. Like, and he's just screaming at me like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I saw my friend's head get blown off next to
Well,
me,"
that's
and I'm
not good
like,
either.
"Yeah, dude." I'm like,
That is not a good situation.
no, so
Shit,
not at all. There's a lot of traumatizing things that definitely happened
bro.
through this. It's like, but without that, could I have been who I am today? Like I feel like as dark as life gets, and sometimes like
Yeah,
me talking about this stuff to other people is like more uncomfortable for them than it is for me, because I do feel like I've really worked and done my own therapy, because I haven't been able to find anybody that's like worth it,
yeah,
like that isn't either trying to jam pills down my throat or isn't just yesing me to death. Like,
yeah.
like give me some resistance, give me some like something I can take away. Don't just, I know like it's cool to vent to you, but that's not why I'm here. Like I have some things I'm working on, and I can't get past them, and you're supposed to help me. Why aren't you helping me?
I'm curious. What is your relationship with your parents like today?
So my mom, our relationship is better. Since I had kids,
Mm,
so initially she was like still wasn't on board with it all. Like it was very hard to like convince her that, Mom, I need to move in with you because me and my pregnant girlfriend are gonna be homeless if we don't. And like I had to
right.
like bargain and do everything like to live there, and it's a crazy situation. And then she kind
Yeah.
of was on my son's mom's side for a little bit, because I kind of can't blame her. I was doing a lot of stupid shit, and it's like, okay, Adam's gonna turn his life around now. Like she kind of like gave
Yeah.
up on me, I gave up on her, and then once she realized what I was doing, we like had to talk about it, and we've been better since. Like there's still some stuff I haven't fully processed with my mom, which I would really love to, because that would
Yeah.
really like close that book all the way for me. But she's not ready for that yet. Like my mom finally like got diagnosed as bipolar,
Mm,
and like my older brother is, so I most likely am too. Like my little sister is. Like we're all it's a mess, like we're all bipolar. But
yeah.
I've done a lot of work to get past all these things, and I'm like really trying to talk about them more, especially like, you know, like getting molested and everything, because as somebody that has happened to, the amount of men that have also said that it has happened to them, and they've never told anybody until me,
Right.
like 35-year-old men.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm like, dude, give me a hug. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think that men are just like, oh, that didn't affect my life at all. But okay, you treated women like shit when you were younger, and you didn't have healthy relationships, you had toxic relationships. Like,
Right.
dude, do you not think any of that stems from an unhealthy sexual start? It's an
Clearly,
obvious
you've made
thing.
all great decisions since
Yeah.
your since your
Yeah.
issues. Yeah.
It's like, how can you be expected to, make the right
Yeah.
decisions when you're almost like, I was like overdeveloped and underdeveloped all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like my mind was super overdeveloped, and then like sexually I was like overdeveloped but underdeveloped because I didn't understand it, and it was like a weird fucking thing in my
Yeah,
life for a long
arrested
time.
emotional development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
I'm so glad you're still here
Yeah,
and you
it's
are who you are.
you talk about your dad putting
Yeah,
a
man.
gun to his head. I did that in 2013, not 2003, 2013. And that was when I was living in Wyoming, and I actually moved out there because at the time it was like one of the darkest points in my life. Like this year, actually, I think it's today, if I'm not mistaken. My mom's boyfriend, who I worked with for a couple of years, and we got really close. He hung himself. So it's been 10 years since that. And then,
Jesus, man, I'm
a
sorry.
month and a half after that, my nana passed away. And so I was like 21. I already was like not in a good place. And then I just fell into like the deepest depression. And one of my homies that I met online, he flew out and we met like in person. And then he's like, "Why don't you just come and live in Wyoming for a little bit?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Like, and I just packed up a couple suitcases and left for Wyoming.
Yeah.
And my idea was, okay, I'm either going to turn my life around, or it's really easy to get a gun in Wyoming and I'm going to kill myself.
Wow.
And I was like, I already had the plan. I knew what mountain I would go to if I was going to do it that way. Like it was dark thoughts back then. And I remember one night I'd actually put the gun to my head and had like a full meltdown, breakdown, and never pulled the trigger, thank God. But
Thank God.
man, like that close. And it's all just because so much of what I went through, I didn't process. I just stuffed it down. Like, just
Yep.
keep stuffing it down. And now it's like I try to face those things head on. I like dig deeper. I'm like, okay, I just like lashed out at my fiance for something. Why did I do that? What leads me to that kind of behavior? Like, okay, that's something I remember seeing like there. How can I like deprogram that out of my brain that that's normal? It's so hard too, especially in my situation, because my fiance, her parents are still together. So
Wow.
yeah, like, so they she doesn't know anything about this, and she tries to relate, but it's not possible to relate if you haven't been through it. And like, God bless her, man. Like, you talk about Amanda saving you, like, that's how I feel about her. Like, so much of I feel like I'm not a loser anymore because of her, like. And that's kind of how you make it seem, like, with Amanda. Like, she like was like your Olympic torch.
Yeah.
She's just like, come on, come with me.
Yeah.
and and it's a beautiful thing when you find a partner like that. And it's even more beautiful when, like, we're very broken people. We're very broken people. And it's for them to be patient enough to work with us through all
Yeah.
of that. It says a lot about their character.
For them to see something in us, right? That
Yeah.
they thought
Yeah.
was valuable, that they thought, all right, this is worth sticking around.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens the next 5 or 10 or 25 years. And I man, not only, and I like to think that we thought we were broken and didn't know how old we are.
Mm.
It's that chicken and the eagle story. I don't know if you ever heard it.
No.
It was one that one of my therapists gave me a long time ago. You're an eagle in a chicken coop, but if you're hanging around chickens, you're going to act like a bunch of chickens, that are, exhibiting the same behaviors. So
Yep.
just walking around clucking like a chicken when really you're an eagle. And you look up and, there's eagles flying around, like, ooh, that'd be cool. I'd like to do that. But you just don't think it's possible because, look, you're a chicken. And it's not until somebody actually pulls you aside and says, look, I don't know if you know this, but like, you don't belong here. What do you mean I don't belong here? I'm a chicken. I'm with my people.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just holding the mirror up to be able to see how not broken we are. And that's part of it, is going deep, right? And some of the, like you said, like, why did I, behave this way in this situation? There's some of those things that decision forming incidents that maybe we we pick up in, whether it's childhood or church or whatever it is, right? There's things that kind of build our construct as we grow, right? And that's it. We think that whatever this is how everything's supposed to be because this is what I was taught. Or I chose these decisions because of all the information that I had previous. So I'm all I can do is just keep being a chicken. And right. And you don't,
so many people
know
do
any different. And so many people do every day. And when in reality, it was never about even how broken we were. It was, what do you want? What life do you want to have? That I think is what Amanda saw in me initially, is clearly that there was something else that was waiting for me that I just wasn't accepting of yet. And then meeting Dorsey and finding the path to get there was life-changing. Those are two of the people that I will be forever grateful to for just believing in me on this journey. There was two that when I bounced around the Southwest and I came from California to back to Arizona, there was two people that they accepted me, dude. And I'm telling you, at the highs, right at the end, before the big drop, they were there when I was rocking, in the clubs on the weekends and doing my thing and, living large and all that. And they also were right there when I was going through all the shit at the beginning of my divorce and a lot of the struggles with alcohol and family court and behind on child support and bouncing around from different jobs and not having a place to live and wrecking my car and blah, 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 blah. They were right there. Sandra and Vicky, they were two of the people that from the day that I moved back here to Arizona, we were like the three amigos. And if it wasn't for them, actually back then in those early days, I would have probably wound up dead somewhere on the side of the road. But they carried me through at least those first few years to get me to the place where I met Amanda, and then things really started to take off from there. It's interesting how it works.
It's so nice to have like guardian angels almost like that in your life. Like, for me, it's like my buddy. He's like my brother, dude. I've known him since I was 13. Like I'm 31 now. We've been friends for a long time, and
right.
There's been times I've slept on his couch. There's been times we've lived together. He's gotten me job opportunity after job opportunity after job opportunity, and always just looking out. Like if something goes wrong, he's always the first person to be like, well, that sucks, but like, what are you going to do now? Like you can't just sit around and, like stop everything you're doing. He's that type of person. So he's definitely one for me. And my friends that I had, my friend Tay, she let me sleep on her couch too for a while. Like I can't believe that people are so nice to like, I'm just like, oh, I have nowhere to stay. Let me sleep on your couch. They're like, okay.
Right.
I don't even think about it. I'm like, okay. Like, it does suck though. It feels after like one night, you feel just intrusive. It's just like you're not really.
The first night I felt intrusive. Yeah. But look, and it's that first few moments of like, I got to do whatever I got to do, right, to stay alive today. And I'd rather not sleep under a bridge, but I guess if I have to. And so you hope somebody's there to catch you. And thank God, man, that we had, a few people in our lives that we could count on in those early days. And those were two of them. Sandra and Vicky, they at least made sure that I had somewhere to go, if nothing else. Now everything else, they didn't necessarily want to help me with, although they tried to help me with work, and they tried to help me even with like food and just maybe some sort of normalcy, like would, let me hang out with them on the weekends or whatever, and, kind of pay my way. But at the end of the day, when it came down to me kind of getting out on my own again, just broke, dude. I was like sharing a room with a guy that rented out 6 other bedrooms in his home. He had this big home way out on the outskirts of town. So sharing the master bedroom with the guy that owned the house. He put up like one of those little changing, screens, one of those little things, the little
Yeah.
folding accordion screens in between us. But it was only $200 a month for rent, and I couldn't even pay the $200 after the first month. I was starting another new job. I was trying to sell cars. I was horrible at it. And I had to borrow his car to get to work because it was so far. I tried doing it by bus, couldn't get there. So I was borrowing his car. I couldn't even make it back most nights. So I spent like the first 3 months just sleeping in the back of the car a lot of nights because I didn't have enough money for gas to get by. I had that $5, right? For the whole week. That was it. 5 McDoubles that I knew I could do. And so, so when I started getting close on gas, I'm like, well, screw it. It's got a back seat. I can sleep here, and he'd get worried and blah, blah, blah. But then I came up short and I couldn't pay rent. And I literally, this is the part that I think I've shared it once, but I traded him sensual massage for rent because I just couldn't pay. That's where it was at. So, man, that was a long time ago. It feels like it was a long time. It wasn't. It was like 15 years ago. It's not that long ago. And so I remember it because it's so fresh, like a lot of those, things that I had to do just to get through a day. But man, is today sweet.
Yeah.
I can't even express, dude. And this is the part that, I hate to say it, Gary says, Gary says all the time. Gary Vaynerchuk says all the time. Like either, you see people like flexing on Instagram and stuff, and usually it's like, they paid somebody $100 to rent their jet for an hour to do a photo shoot or, whatever, right? The shiny stuff is that's out there. Or, you just don't see the 15, 20, 25 years of hustle before those moments when it actually pays off real, right?
Yep.
Like a Grant Cardone or whoever. And Grant's got a couple jets, but he's also been fucking working and learning his craft really, really well for a long time. It wasn't always that way, and it certainly wasn't that way for me. I mean, this literally, I'm not even joking, Adam, when I tell you that it was the first year that I was able to enjoy that dinner and the people around me and just enjoy it and not feeling like I was guilty or doing something I shouldn't be doing, or I didn't deserve to be at that table, any of the shame or the guilt or any of the stuff from, my past, or, paranoid, like, all right, who's going to find out I'm here and kick me out and tell me, no, you're not supposed to be, this is not for you. Are you kidding? You don't deserve nice things, but that this was the first one, man, in a long time that it felt so good. And I was able to just enjoy the moment with a lot of really special people. And today, dude, this conversation with you, man, I mean, there's a lot that we talked about already that anybody could, like, I'm sure, pick apart and go, oh, I didn't know that, or, have a different opinion or whatever. I could give a shit less.
Yep.
Right. Good or bad.
Yeah, it's funny when people try to like I've had people that are real jealous say like, oh, you're a failed entrepreneur and stuff. I was like, yeah, I've had a couple L's, but I've literally talked about all of them publicly. It's like Eminem in 8 Mile when he just like makes fun of himself the whole time, and then there's nothing you could say. Like, I put my L's just out there louder than I put my W's most of the time. Like
it's one of my favorite scenes ever, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's all staged. I get it, but also at the same time. Well, and actually, so I don't mean to get totally off topic. So if you go back and watch the making of 8 Mile, the fact that they actually went out and farmed local rappers and said, let's try to get some authenticity, into that moment. And they did. There's some of the guys that are in the New World or Free World crew that are actually, they're local rappers in and around either Detroit or whatever. And who was it? It wasn't Lickety, but it was who was the second guy that was rapping? I think it was him. He's one of them. And the very first guy when Rabbit Chokes.
Yep.
He's actually a pretty well-known rapper in the area. And then somebody else that they didn't use, but if you go back and watch the making of, they freestyled a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
the local guys as tryouts, but they got to freestyle with M. So he's up there just taking whatever, and man, they were brutal, bro.
Yeah.
They were not holding back at all. Like they didn't give a shit that it was, a chance to get in a movie. They were just like, oh, you want me to flex? Okay, I could show you what I got. Then sure.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Just let him have it, dude.
I remember God, it was good. They were saying that there was a point where Eminem was starting to lose his voice, so they told him to stop actually rapping. Yeah. They'll like dub it over. Yeah. And there was like one girl that was just going so hard at him that he started like actually going at her.
Yeah.
The whole crowd.
Yeah, that was awesome. And because he's rapping and he's just moving his mouth and there's nothing happening. And like the crowd's supposed to react like, oh, right. They're just like at whatever random. Yeah. And yeah, when he finally had enough, he's like, nah, this is not happening. I'm not going to continue to sit up here and take this without coming back. And yeah, it was interesting. But anyway, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, because that's where you're at, right? You're caught in the corner, and at some point you don't have a choice. Like you got to either make conscious decisions and start moving forward, or you shrivel up and die. I mean, those are the two options. So I always, I always wondered, like, how do people wind up, broke on the street, struggling? How does that happen? And
then it happens.
I came way too fucking close to finding out the whole story. And I'm just so thankful, man.
So much of it too. And I feel like a lot of this goes back to everything I've said about my childhood is like, it's almost like it becomes self-sabotaging at a point, like you have these good things, but you literally just destroy them. And I've done that my whole life. Like, whenever I feel like I have too much of a good thing going on, I end up destroying it because I'm like, I don't deserve this. There's no way I deserve this. Like I think it's just
fear of success.
Yeah, almost.
Fear of success, imposter syndrome. I can't pull this off. They're gonna find out I'm a fraud. I better cut this off at the knees before it even gets there.
I mean, I've had, and for me, it's like I've had 6 different businesses before these that I have now. Like I had a music studio in Colorado. I had a company where I just made like beard products and skin products for people. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, oh, I know how to do this. I'm just going to do it. I had a grow consultant business. I had, I guess it wasn't really 6. It's like 3. And then my last CBD business with my partner, like that counts as an L.
Absolutely.
But it's like, there's a few on there, and people really think, like, when people like say shit online, I'm just like, why do you guys do the things you do? You're letting the algorithms fuck with you. Like, clearly, whatever I said triggered you, and you should not let it give you that reaction. Like, I'm notorious for like, I'll like, somebody will put up a subliminal status about me, right? I'm not on Facebook anymore. This is why I'm not on Facebook anymore, because I will comment on there. I'll go against. I'll literally expose how what they're saying is bullshit,
right?
And then just delete my comment and block them, and just be like, I'm done. And they get so fucking mad. Like, it's like they send you screenshots. I still have the screenshots. I was like, okay. I know what I said. I didn't say anything I regret.
Facebook was weird. I had a couple run-ins with people that I guess I used to work with back in the day, but every once in a while would get some weird messages and stuff. And even in this space, dude, it did not take long for creepers to start showing up. It was weird.
Dude, how about that one dude that he hacked me, and then he told me, he's like, be careful of Sal, he's in the mafia. And I'm like,
is that Army Drew guy?
Yes, dude.
Yeah. That was the one. I was like, the fuck is going on, dude? What is wrong with people? But again, it's kind of coming back to like, this is, these are some of the things that you don't have to endure them. We actually make a lot of choices anyway about what experience we want to have. That's a whole nother layer. And that is part of the solution too, not only, just in life, but also in the whole high conflict, family court thing. It's choosing what experience you want to have is half of it. Really, that's all of it. And then just executing. So same thing in life. I started to choose a different experience and found out what the power of manifestation was, even before I knew that's what it was. All I knew, I was putting pen to paper and I was writing some shit out, and I was hopeful that it was going to happen, but different kind of hopeful. It wasn't like the, ooh, I hope someday. It was no, I'm going to intentionally work on these goals every single day. I'm going to look at them. I'm going to figure out what can I do today to get me closer to those goals. And it worked. I was like, fuck, well, if that worked, what else is possible? And so slowly, so it's interesting. The first 10 years were like this slow little progression, and just kind of inch by inch by inch by inch, a lot of self-sabotage in there still. Never, by the way, never owned my own home. We lost our family home when I was, I don't know, 18 or 19, 18. So I've been, apartments and rental homes since then. And 5 years ago is when, 2016 is when I found Dorsey Pruder. I found the work that she does, and also intentionally tried to figure out a way, how do I get connected with her? And it was about a year after I found her that a call came literally out of the blue, that somebody called me and said, hey, do you want to meet Dorsey in Tucson? We're both up here in Phoenix. I was like, what do you mean? Like when? And he's like, now. I was like, what do you mean now? He's like, well, she's down there right now. She's getting ready for a conference, and she's got today that is kind of open. And it's like, bro, it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. Tucson's about it's like a solid hour and 45-minute drive. Yep. I made it there in an hour flat. I made it there like 100 miles an hour down the freeway, and met her, and I was like shaking and crying. And my buddy was like, dude, how fast were you driving? I was like, don't worry about it. It's not important. What's important is we're here, and let's go meet Dorsey. So I met her. Her and I stuck around and got to meet some of the folks that she was going to be in a conference with. And we hit it off. And the next thing I knew, I was in California training to be a coach with her in her business. And the rest is history. That was 2017. And so the last 4 years, a little over. So we went from that kind of incremental. So that's what's crazy, dude. I met her in March of 2017, I think. April. Wow. March of 2018, Amanda and I bought this home. So we've had this house 3.5 years now. That's also when Amanda, that was the second time that Amanda told me no thank you on crypto, was that same time frame. So just so that we're clear, it was going to be either buying the home, right, socking some cash away, or throwing a few bucks at crypto. And she said no thank you. And that's a whole nother conversation but about how did that turn out. But because clearly she's into it now, right? So she fully understands like what could have happened, like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. We were just talking about it today, but there's no woulda, coulda, shoulda. But anyway, it was around the same time. So March 2018, we move into our new home. And Adam, I mean, I couldn't have planned it any better. Her mom was 75. She needed knee surgery. She had been working, maintaining an almost $500,000 home on her own, supporting like 6 members of the family, including me and Amanda for a few months, more than a few months, about a year. And in our goal to purchase a home, she was still working and trying to maintain her home and other members of the family. But the punchline is, we moved in March, the end of March 30. We got to move her mom from the rehab facility where she was recovering from her knee surgery into her room here at the new house. We already had everything,
awesome.
all the furniture moved over. It's a 4-bedroom house, so we have a guest room that's right by my mother-in-law's room, and the room that I'm in is our it's the second bedroom from the back, but it's the only other room with a walk-in closet that's 7x5. That was perfect for a vocal booth, little ISO booth in there. And this wound up being the, home office and studio, and it's just like perfect. I mean, just enough backyard for the dogs to go out and do their thing. And yeah, brand new home. It was a spec home. And I told her the day we went out to look, she got pre-approved for a loan, and we played hooky and went house shopping.
Uh-oh. He played hooky and jumped off the podcast. Give Sal a second to hop back in here. I bet you his phone died or something like that. That's usually what happens in these situations. Hold on, stoner brain. I have to remember what we were talking about. Stoner brain is so tough sometimes. Let me hit him up. Make sure. See?
Shit. Was that me? Or was that?
Yeah, that was you.
Oh, damn. I think my phone overheated. I think it's done.
Oh.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how far we get. If not, I'll jump back on the computer. But yeah, man, we got lucky. That's the bottom line. We got super, super blessed, super lucky. She said I lost connection. I'm like, I know. Very sweet. Oops. Thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah, it's just like you said you played hooky to buy a house. I was like, oh, you played hooky and jumped off the podcast.
It was a Friday, I think she got pre-approved. Yeah, and it might have been Friday, March 1st, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and look if that's right. She'll probably correct me here in about 2 seconds. And before we left, because she didn't want to look at homes at all or even listings until she had her pre-approval. And so when she got it, then she got excited. She's like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, cool. And I already had a list of a bunch that I wanted to look at. I said, but here's the deal. We're going to go out today. I know you have your heart set on like 1, 2, 3. She took a look at the list. She kind of liked a couple. I was like, I know you got your heart set, but I'm telling you, we're going to walk in somewhere. They're going to have some weird spec home or something that was started, not finished or whatever. And they're going to make us some kind of weird, crazy offer. It's not even going to make any sense, but that's going to be the home. And it happened exactly like that. We went out house hunting all day long. She wanted to go home. She was even crying because the last house that she decided she wanted, we went back to go put an offer in on it. And somebody put an offer in like as we walked through the door. We were like, hey, we just wanted to talk to you about. And he's like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool. And looks at his phone. He's like, oh, I can't. Somebody already put an offer in the home. I was like, what? So we left. She was upset. And I didn't take her straight home. I went to one last stop, and it was this development that was being built out. And she's like, I don't want to go. She was like 4 years old. She's like, I don't want to. I'm just teasing. But she really did. And so we pulled in, and she's like, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to waste my time. This is all a waste of time. We can't afford these homes. We'd already looked at one of their sister properties, and they were pricey. And this one was supposed to be a little less expensive, but the same type of build. I was like, let's just go in and ask. Let's just ask and see. You never know. Mm-hmm. And so we walk in. Guy works with us for a couple of minutes, and he's like, do you mind if I ask like how much you got to pre-approve for? And, do you mind how much, do you mind if I run some numbers? And so he starts running some numbers, and he's like, no, your pre-approval's wrong. You could probably do X. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah, pretty sure. I mean, unless there's like some other crazy stuff we don't know about. And we're like, no, I mean, we told him everything. So he said, okay, well, you can go look at these 3 homes. These 2 are probably in your price range. The other ones, like the 2 stories and, the bigger stuff, no. We're like, okay, cool. So we looked at the first house. It's nice. It's like 3-bedroom. I mean, it's totally nice. Like, it's very nice. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, really nice home. second one, she walked through the door and she goes, "Oh my God." And we were with a couple other people. They sent us as a group to go just walk houses by ourselves.
Yep.
And she turns around everybody. She's like, "Do not put an offer in on this house. This is my house." We had just literally, we walked through the door. We didn't even get all the way inside the house. And I'm like, don't you want to see like at least the, she's like, "Nope, this is the house. I know it is." It's like, okay, now seriously though, we probably should, nope. And it was the pricier of the two, but she was right. She was 100% correct. We were here till, I don't know, 6:30 and put an earnest payment down. And next thing we knew, she was, getting worked. Her deal was getting worked through the mortgage company. And yeah, 28 days later, I think we had keys to the house.
That's so amazing.
Exactly 4 weeks. Yeah. So cool.
I can't wait for that feeling. Like I really can't. Like there's not too many people that actually own homes in my family. So like it's gonna be a big deal. And plus I want land. I want like minimum 5 acres.
Yes.
I need that land. Bro. I'm actually looking at a couple properties that have like 12 plus, so that'd be awesome.
Nice.
But I gotta get the income. You know what I mean? Like I haven't had income on the books in 4.5 years, so I got to get something on the books that they can feel more comfortable with giving me the loan. And I'm looking for different types of loans. Like I'm looking into using my VA loan finally. Like nice. I joined Marine Corps boot camp in 2009 and then blew out my knee in boot camp, and they found out I lied about it, and it was a whole hubbub. But I got honorably discharged still, so yeah, I'm technically a veteran. So I've fought with myself a lot about using the benefits, and all my friends that are like combat Marines and shit are like, dude, fuck the government. Like, just do that shit. Like, do your VA thing. Like, you did join. You were going to go to combat with us, and you just got hurt. Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And like, all right. And I like lost my DD-214. So that was always my excuse. Like, I can't use it. I don't have my DD-214. And then my buddy, Nick, the one that has let me like crash at his house and got me job opportunities and everything, he was like, dude, you could just request that shit through USCGIS. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, I look it up and I send in my stuff and I get my DD-214. And then I went to the VA and I'm like, I'm not really a veteran, right? Like that's not really a thing. They're like, no, like, I mean, your DD-214 is good, and like you should be good. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because like, say I was to get a VA loan for building a house, right? You only have to put 5% down.
Right.
And if you buy the land outright, then that counts towards your down payment.
Sweet.
So like, it's just crazy. So but I mean, realistically, even if you have a $400,000 build with the land and everything, what is that? $20,000 down?
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
It's not. And where would you go? Would you stay there or would you move out?
We're staying in New England. Like we're talking about moving to Rhode Island. It's like an hour from where we are now.
Oh, interesting.
Just because it's got more land. My son's still here, and I don't have custody of him yet, so I'm still locked around here until I can do that.
Right.
And my girl's family's all here and everything too. So
sure.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, you gotta stay close.
Yeah, because if not, I'd be in Colorado. I love Colorado. Right. That was my favorite state I've lived in for sure.
For a few reasons.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I never got bothered for weed there. Like I used to go on lunch break, go to the dispensary and get some weed. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
In my AT&T thing, like, just waiting for somebody to ask me a cell phone question. Like,
totally, that's awesome. Oh, you worked for AT&T also?
Yeah. I worked in the stores. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 different times. When I was in Wyoming, that's when I started working there, and that's the job that transferred down to Arizona too. I worked at the Arrowhead Mall in Glendale, Arizona. The
It was
AT&T.
literally down the street from where we live.
I
I think
know
we
you were
talked about
telling me
that
that.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's
that's
10 minutes from here.
it's just such a crazy thing, dude. Like I can't
Yeah.
wait. I've my girl, one of her friends lives out in Arizona, and now I know you guys, but I have friends that like when I lived there, I'm still friends with them. Like I know if I flew out to Arizona, it would be I haven't seen them in forever or even talked to them in a little bit, but I know it would just be popping. Like it's
Oh, dude.
what's up?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it would be a blast. And
I
you have a
gotta.
place to stay anytime. In fact,
Oh,
Justin Stevens is coming out. Him and his sister and his daughter are staying here tomorrow night.
oh yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna hang out here, and he's actually not far from us. His dad, I think, is in Peoria, so they're right down the 101, man, real close. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
cool. And
So
that's been the most exciting part. I mean, the thought of like the money and the NFTs and like what's possible in this space, and people doing amazing things, right? Like even yourself with Terra Apothecary. Um, the the people that I've not just met, because that's too easy, right? Like the people that we kind of hang out with in Clubhouse and blah blah blah. It's really easy because everybody's just so fucking nice to say how amazing this community is. What has blown my mind, and I cannot wait for everybody else to experience it, is when we've connected in person. Ron and Alyssa were the first ones that we got the opportunity, right, when they came out for Brielle's competition,
yep.
and then everybody in California, and Mikey in Las Vegas. That was maybe the first one, or right after Ron and Alyssa. I can't remember, but then seeing Mikey again last couple weeks ago in Vegas, we met up
Mm-hmm.
and got to go meet Collie Buds, right? And meeting Collie, and then Jet got to meet Collie out in Miami last night, and just, I mean, it goes on and on and on. But it's not about the rock star status. It's just the incredible depth of every single person, the depth of character that is displayed in here on Clubhouse, in IG. It's real. It's fucking real. Like
Yeah.
and it's tangible. And I cannot wait for everybody to experience that in person come May. It's just a whole nother level when you like everybody just clicks. Like everybody just meets up, and it's like we've known each other this whole time. It's real. It's a real connection. And
Yep.
it's not like weird and having to meet each other again and relearn shit. And, it's just good. It's just really good. And yeah, it's amazing. I'm so excited, dude, for May. It's going to be overload.
It really is. Like I was telling the job that because I was like, listen, May 19th through the 24th, I am not going to be here. It if you guys don't give
Right.
me the time off,
I'm
that's
still not going to
okay.
be here.
I'm still not gonna be here.
Yeah.
I'm not missing this for anything. This is the most important thing that's probably ever happened to me so far, and the amount of it's gonna be like literally 128 hours straight of networking, essentially.
Right. It is.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be insane. I
I,
can't imagine that we're going to spend that much time together. And I already know, dude, the minute like people have to start getting on planes and go home, like
gonna be
it's just going to
sad.
be, bro, I'm going to be so heartbroken. It was hard enough just saying goodbye to, 20 plus, 30 plus. I can't imagine when it's 10,000 or whatever the number is, winds up being. It's going to be crazy.
It's gonna be hard
So
both ways for me because
yeah, we're going to have
like
to get lots of good time in.
this is only my second trip away that would be away from my family. Like if I can't afford to bring them with me by then, which things are
Sure.
looking good right now.
Yeah.
But if I'm not able to, I'm gonna have to deal with the anxiety of missing my daughter, because I will definitely miss her, and I'm gonna be like on the plane like just like everything's okay. We're doing this for her. We're doing this for her. You know what I mean? Like, and then on the way home, it's gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna miss these. When am I gonna see these people? Like, I just know how my brain is, like anxiety, and I'll just be like this. You won't even notice from the inside.
Like, it's okay. It's okay to let it out.
Yeah.
And we're here for you. You know that. So
yeah,
if that happens, you never know. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Some treats with me. Some
Are you?
Yeah, and while I'm there, I'm thinking about
some
picking up
treats.
Yeah, some Terra treats, some vitamins. That's what I like to call them.
That's awesome.
Because I feel like if I'm microdosing, I'll be able to manage my stress and everything much, much better.
Nice.
It really does. It's like every time I take it, it just reminds me of why I take it. I'm like, it doesn't fuck you up. It doesn't alter you whatsoever. It's just like all of a sudden it kicks in and you're like, I don't think I'm a piece of shit anymore. It's like, I don't want to self-sabotage. Why do I do that? Like,
that's amazing.
It's crazy. Yo, Steven, I am bringing some CBD oil, and I'm definitely bringing some THC oil too, like
nice.
Stashed away in one of those bottles.
That's so cool.
I gotta find. I think I have a Connect out there, but I gotta find the Connect for Bud, because as soon as I land, that's why I gotta pick some up and smoke a little bit, because that'll help me with everything.
Oh, in Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, yeah. I'm a little bit worried about the Bud. I'm hoping that whoever is connected gets some like Canada Bud, and because we're pretty close-ish. I mean, not really, I guess, like 4 hours probably. But yeah, I hope we can get some good shit out there. I don't think it's illegal there, Peg. I think it's decriminalized there up to a certain amount. Oh, PD said, just come find me. All right, very well. Let's go.
That's awesome. What's his number?
Yeah, right.
Where you stay at?
Guys, I just want to say that tonight on Twitch, we had between like 4 to 6 viewers, and I was very close. I wonder if it'll tell me right now. My last thing that I had to do to be a partner was to average 3 viewers for like a month. And I was at 2.5 last week. And I think it might have gone down a little bit, but with this average, it might actually get me to be a partner on Twitch, which would be fucking awesome. I've been working so hard to get there. Twitch is not easy if you're not good at gaming.
Oh, right, yeah, because you don't have 300 people a pop hanging out all the time.
Like I literally I tried playing video games and streaming that, and it really affected my viewer, because it was like no viewers. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wanted to watch me play fucking video games because I wasn't that great at them, and I was trying to be good at them, so I'm like this. Oh yeah, people are here.
It's awesome. Didn't go off.
Yeah, and then I was like, let me try to put What Did Adam Say on Twitch, and it's just been a slow build, and we're finally getting there. And every time I have an episode and I see even one viewer, I'm just like, word, this is fucking awesome, because I just think about Gary in my head, like how he says like nobody watched any of his fucking videos in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they did. And I'm gonna have so much content for people to look at, that it's really gonna be crazy, because it's like you were saying, people are gonna be like, oh, it's an overnight success, all of a sudden he just has all these viewers and stuff,
right?
And it's like, oh, did you forget about the 5 years of podcasting I did to an audience of like 10, like and loved every second of it, just the same as if it's a million. Like,
they sure didn't.
It's nobody ever wants to see that or hear about that, and it is what it is,
It looks like, it sounded like they tried to pass legal marijuana use, recreational use in May, and it failed. So it's decriminalized, but it's still a $200 fine if you have butt on you. Sorry. How far is Minneapolis from the border, though? How far do you have to go?
Oh yeah, because it's legal in Illinois.
I mean,
that reminds me of back in the day. Fucking when I lived in Wyoming, the part of the story I left out was that we were making moves out there. Like we would go down to Colorado and get like poundage a week, and then drive back to Wyoming and flip it in a single night, one night, every single time.
Shit.
Every single time. We would just collect all of our checks within a couple days, and well, not checks, but cash. You know what I mean? And just do it all over again. That shit's wild. That would remind me of like doing that, going to Illinois, buying some bud, and going back to fucking Minneapolis.
Right.
Wisconsin. That's what worries me, because like usually the non-legal states have trash bud.
Wisconsin is legal, and that's right. So Minneapolis is on the, it's like on the almost east border of Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I think it looks like it's like, what is it, like maybe an hour across the border? Maybe.
That'll be a fun adventure for Isaac to follow along. That's the other thing. Like, we're going to fucking VCon with a videographer, and
I know, right?
It is going to be tough, I will admit, because I want him to experience it too. Yeah. But like, we also need content, so it's gonna be I'm gonna have to really listen to how he's feeling and what he's saying to like, you know, because in New York this past time, he was like, I don't want to bring my whole setup, my like gimbal and shit. I was like, nah, bro, just bring it. It'll be a better shot. Yeah. He's like, I can hold it steady. I can hold it steady. I was like, are you sure, dude? And I like made him doubt himself.
Yeah, but
and then he brought it, and he was like, dude, this sucks. This is so heavy, blah, blah. I ended up carrying it on the walk back because I felt bad. I was like, yeah, dude, you're right. Like, I shouldn't have told you to bring that. Like, I should just listen to you. You know what you're talking about. Like, he's like, huh. All right, yeah, but it's just like
I was actually wondering for that trip. I mean, now he's going, right? So now he's got a token, right? So
maybe, hopefully, I can really see him getting one.
He's probably got a token, or at least access. But if so, he's there. Let's just assume he's there. Would fractional use of his skills be a possibility? Can we fractionalize his cinematography ability between a few of us? Do you think that's an option if we did that?
Possibly, yeah. I think that would be like, honestly, the coolest way to do it is to have like, you know, a group of us, like, even if it's a big ass group, like, cool, that's more content. You know what I mean? Like, and it follows around through that group, because I don't want it to be all about me, you know, like, I do want to have my experience there too, but there's 10,000 people there, like me and you, and like, what the fuck? It's gonna be filled with amazing human beings, and I want him to, you know, network and make connections that are gonna help him too, and I want him to showcase his work. Like, I told him I want to get like 6 to 8 episodes out of VCon. He's like, oh, yeah. I was like, dude, we're there for 5 days. We'll be straight. Don't worry. Like, and we don't have to put things in order. Like, you know, that's the beauty of like TV reality styles things, you know, like,
and the travel day is one whole video all by itself. You know, that's one content. Yeah.
He was hoping that they let us film in the airport. They probably won't. We'll probably just have to do it on our phones, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I did to and from LA. Although I haven't released anything yet. I still haven't sat down with any of that video that I shot, and I didn't get that much of the birthday. What's funny is, as soon as we got off the plane and we did that first little IG with Bryce, I had the worst battery issues, man. Everywhere we went, there was like the shittiest signal for T-Mobile, and the battery would drain in like 30 minutes. I couldn't do anything, and I needed to, you know, find a different cable. I didn't have a USB-C to lightning charging cable for the car. Like, it was just every single excuse, right? That
everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
It all went wrong. So I didn't get shit the entire weekend. And and I'm not sure if anybody else did, but it seemed like enough people went live, throughout the weekend that at least there were some cool posts. So, but yeah, I was really bummed, man. I even did like time lapse, the plane taking off and landing, like the whole 9 yards. Like I was ready to rock and roll, and then the phone just died repeatedly over and over and over again. I was out of battery, so I was bummed. I didn't get nearly as much as I wanted, but happens.
Actually, I did not see that, Peg. That's awesome.
In case you didn't see what.
In case you didn't see, this is Peg.
So
Cancer not.
It's awesome.
Got multiple accounts and shit.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to set up a meetup around here actually, and I was just thinking actually, it's funny. You bring up Vegas and stuff a bunch. Isaac's there right now.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
dude, I would have got up there and saw him.
He's there till Monday, I believe. Yeah.
Shit. So we have Justin's going to be here tomorrow night. Saturday I got to go down to Tucson because we have a wedding down there. We're going to stay the night.
Hell yeah.
Sunday I got to come back, drop Amanda off, and then I got to actually shoot back out to California. Sunday. I know. No doubt about it. California. Have you seen Big Subwoofer?
I saw what you posted about it. I haven't listened to it yet.
Bro, do me a favor, go listen to it right now. Can you split and listen to it while you're on the stream?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just make sure.
Especially with the ATs. Those ATs, son.
Hey.
The headphones.
Uh-huh. I do wish I had my buddy has really good headphones. They're like a step up from these, but these aren't bad. I think they don't do a great job with the highs, and that's a problem with mixing.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to upgrade eventually, but I'm doing all right, I guess. All right. So what's this called again?
It's called Big Subwoofer. There's a Big Subwoofers. Big Subwoofer. By Mount Westmore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I did not know that there were a couple people in it. Because what I posted was just, I think, Ice Cube and Snoop, right? Was the only two clips. Even in Snoop's part, there's somebody else in the video, in the frame. I didn't even catch who it was until I watched the video all the way through, and I went,
all right, I just hit play. Let's see if they give me an ad. Yep. Good old YouTube. Oh, am I not going to be able to hear if I don't play it through there? Oh, no, I just have it muted.
Man, why Snoopy Dogg always get to fly? I'm the flyest motherfucker in here now. Shooter, man. No, I'm the shooter. I say we just get the fuck up out of here. Y'all ready? Let's do it.
Uh-oh, device not connected. Well, if I catch a ban on Facebook, this is why. Whatever. But if I get YouTube will flag me too. I should probably turn it down a little bit. Oh, E40's in it. Okay. E40 said I can multitask. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. It's called Big Subwoofer by Mount Westmore. Hey. Ooh.
Bouncing like a trampoline, glass shake when I roll past the scene. Candy apple paint dripping classic green. Everybody eating, you can ask the team. Fast and mean, stickers bumping, tags is clean. Keep me something to smoke on, bad bitch to poke on. Bass hit like an earthquake. You niggas hold on, I hit the block and go on. My bitch got ass like 218s. Her favorite Too Short song is in those.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's too short.
Check it, baby, if you like this song. Do a nasty dance every time they turn it on. It's got more bass than
Okay,
bass.
Sal, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're not on the screen. If you wanna, I think Twitch hates me. Yeah, Twitch sometimes like just fucks up for some reason.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, bro.
Wait,
E40 fucking
It gets better.
Too Short, Snoop. For sure, Mount Westmore.
Like Too Short was dope.
You know me, I'm up in it like a booger. Then I treat the bitch like some dice and I shook her. I heard this youngin' screaming like a woman, yelling that they coming. Nigga, we ain't running. It's a new day, still got the AK. If these bitches wanna take it back to 88, turn the music down before we locking horns. Keep the party going. It's a false alarm.
Yeah, it was fire.
It's good shit.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's four dudes that are old that can still throw down. Like,
Yeah,
they kept it really simple, really clean. Like, but man, some of the essence from 30 years ago, and then also just hot, just keeping it hot, and it's
relevant.
fun, it's fresh, relevant. Yeah, it's dope.
So yeah, I always say this happens on the shows this season. I haven't looked up at the time at all, and then I look up and it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, everybody's asking me. They're like, "Are you done yet?"
Oh, is there like a clubhouse room going
I'm
on?
trying to call you the whole time. Exactly. So yeah, we can wrap it. But no, man, it's been cool to wrap and just talk through it. And I know we just shifted gears so hard. We went from like all the shit and like all the turmoil and wreckage and overcoming all that shit to I don't know how much of the real solution we were able to talk through, but the truth is I'm open anytime anybody wants to just talk about, hey, what about XYZ? I'm happy to help, especially in the high conflict divorce space. Like, please reach out. I'm happy to either point you in the right direction or at least let you know some of the work that I do with Dorsey and some of the programs that we offer and stuff like that. That's not a pitch. That's just to say, there's a solution out there, and that's the good news. And yeah, man, live your best life. Fuck. I'm so done.
You only have one of them.
This is it. Took 47 years, man, to figure out like a lot of it. And that's okay. I mean, because I probably got another 40 left, right, to rock out. Yep. So I'm excited to see what happens, man.
At least.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens with so many people, especially you though. Like, I just feel like,
thanks, man.
I don't know, man. The joke was going around that you're the host of VCon, and I really do think
so
that
dope.
Could be...
Thank you, Ian.
I believed it. I fully, when I saw it, I was like, that makes sense.
Right.
I was gonna hit you up and be like, can I co-host?
Yes. The answer is yes.
That would be so fun. That would be a blast. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man. I'll definitely have to have you on again next year. I'm already booked out until next year, which is crazy
so cool
to think about. And I'm actually I'm starting to book January. I'm like, is it too soon? I'm like, should I start booking into like May?
Yeah, you have to. Absolutely.
Ooh, the VCon moderator. All right.
Oh.
Make sure everything goes down okay. And
maybe. Look, I'm open to whatever. All they got to do is just say, yes, we want you to do something. I did reach out. I reached out for a couple reasons. One of them was, hey, can we get some space somewhere to do some VeeFriend, community type like broadcasts and whatnot for the folks back home that maybe are not there, maybe not token holders. And then the other piece is too, I threw my hat in the ring. I said, look, I've got experience doing broadcasting and hosting live events, and I would not mind doing one or two things. And certainly there's, at the very least, there's a side stage that somebody has to say. And next up is, what is their name? Garbage.
Garbage, the trash can MC. All right. I agree, man. Like there's gonna be so many side stages. I think it's all but confirmed that Russ is gonna be there.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he literally has a show in Minneapolis, May 18th.
Oh, that's amazing.
Coincidence? Awesome. Probably not. They're like besties, you know. Like Russ raps about Gary Vee in his songs.
Yeah. Yeah. No question. That's not by accident. That's obviously that's.
And then Wiz Khalifa, I feel like that was a big drop that Gary did for that. Like he's like, oh, let's give him a little hint. Like I feel like he's trying to get Wiz there, and he's just working right now. I love seeing this, and
love to see Collie play.
Oh, I would love to see Collie.
Dude, I would love to see him play that crowd. They would go fucking nuts. They'd go insane.
Peg wrote to Gary and said Sal for moderator. That's fucking awesome.
No way. Did you really? Aww.
That's awesome. I love this community. I love Peg too. I can't wait to meet you, Peg. I'm still sad I didn't get to meet you at that meetup, but yeah. I don't want to keep you here too long. We could talk forever and ever and ever and ever. But where can people find you that are going to be listening and watching this afterwards?
In my Twitter bio, at Sal DiGuardia, so at SalDiguardia is my link tree, and you can find pretty much everything that I'm doing there. So the Rebuilding Me podcast, that was kind of born out of some of those dark times, and really coming through, the other end, and so the Rebuilding Me podcast that I'm lucky enough to partner up with Dorsey on. She's blessed me with her presence on that show, and that's made all the difference. I tried to do a YouTube channel a couple of years ago that just wasn't connecting. It just wasn't hitting the way that I really thought it would. And partnering with her has been just magical. It's been amazing. So that, the VeeFriends Community Clubhouse, of course, we're still going to stick, I think, with the morning edition. And we moved it a little bit. So the 10 a.m. Eastern AM edition, the coffee talk in the VeeFriends Community Clubhouse. But then also too, there's some cool shit happening in the VeeFriends Community Clubhouse. It's kind of sometimes random, sometimes not, but like the Welcome Wagon, I think they're doing that soon. And so that's Sarah and Bryce, and other events that may pop up, like all the green carpet stuff. If there's another big giveaway or, announcements and any of that, I'm all over it. I'm there for it. And this is kind of top secret, so don't tell anybody.
All right, won't.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, there's some cool stuff coming down the pipe. So please, feel free to follow me. Most likely, the next couple months, we'll be kind of just feeling some things out and doing some planning, and then you never know, man. If you want to play an event up there, I would say let's do it. I'm down to come up and let's throw down.
That'll be fun.
Let's host a fucking rager. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That would be super fun. Let's fucking do it. Yeah. So as always, guys, thank you for listening and watching, and thank you again, Sal, for coming on. And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good vibes to you. Have a good one.